Mistake of a millennium. They thought we were just another species. Primitive, loud, emotional, undisciplined, and most importantly, they thought we wouldn't fight back. The Zorvith Dominion had abducted before. Quietly, efficiently, mostly from fringe colonies or lesser-developed worlds. The Galactic Empire barely raised an eyebrow. It was the cost of scientific progress. After all, a few dozen children from a pre-stellar backwater meant nothing to them. This time they took humans. 14 children, ages 7 to 10, on a Martian historical field trip to the Perseverance Dome. One moment they were learning about early rovers. The next, the power cut, the dome lights died, and the stars blinked out overhead. No alarms. No survivors among the dome staff. No trace of the assailants. Only a final transmission, garbled screams, static, and a word in Zorvethian. Specimens secured. Within hours, the Galactic Empire's incident database logged the abduction as a low-priority interference. Human colony. The Zorvith Dominion submitted falsified biological research permits. Routine paperwork. No one cared. No one, except Earth. Far below the surface of North America, past 10 levels of radiation shielding, encrypted sentry nets, and automated defense turrets, a cold room hummed to life. It hadn't been touched in 13 years. Until now, Silence Division was activated. A woman stood before the table. She looked to be in her early 40s, with iron-gray hair coiled into a tight bun and eyes that had seen the inside of too many war zones. Her name was Director Elena Vega, and behind her calm expression was a fury building like a nuclear storm. "Confirmation?" she asked, voice sharp. A technician nodded. "Visual ID on the kids. One-way warp gate confirmed Zorvith technology. The bastards took them to a holding system near the galactic rim." Vega's knuckles whitened. "What's Empire protocol?" "Standard diplomatic response. They're not responding to our alerts. And there's chatter that the Empire might even endorse Zorvith's experimentation once results are in." "Of course they will," Vega said. She turned to face the rest of the Black Ops team. Veterans, ghosts, the kind of people who only came out when Earth's patience ran out. "They think we'll follow their rules. Wait in line. Beg like pets." No one said a word. They all knew better. Vega tapped a button on the table. The hologram flared up, displaying the Zorvith Dominion star cluster, infrastructure maps, supply routes, and known military stations. "Reactivation codes have been sent to all remaining silent cells. We go dark. We say nothing. Not to the media. Not to the Empire. No threats. No speeches." Her voice dropped into a growl. "We find those children. We kill everyone responsible. Then we send the message." Silence followed. Then a low chuckle from a broad-shouldered man with cybernetic eyes. "Finally. Thought we'd never get permission to break things again." Vega didn't smile. "This isn't vengeance. This is prevention. They need to learn. You don't touch human children." 3 parsecs away, on a lavish space station orbiting the Zorvith capital, Grand Minister Travax laughed over his wine. "The humans sent a diplomatic inquiry," he snorted, glancing at his assistant. "Let them wait. They'll lose interest. Or start blaming each other. That's what they do, yes." The assistant nodded politely, but her hands trembled slightly. "And the specimens?" "Healthy. The young are unusually resistant to psychic sedation. It's causing issues. They keep disabling their restraints." Travax rolled his eyes. "They're children. Feed them. Study them. Harvest what we need. Then dispose of them. Quietly. The Empire won't care." Outside the window, the stars shimmered. A long shadow passed over the station, momentary and silent. The Galactic Empire's news nets only mentioned the abduction once, buried beneath trade reports and diplomatic fluff. Minor colonial incident. Human offspring unaccounted for. No one asked questions. No one sent ships. No one expected Earth to retaliate. They didn't understand. They'd forgotten what humans were. We are not measured by our patience, our compliance, or our place in the hierarchy of races. We are measured by our rage. And somewhere, deep in the void, a black ship carved from obsidian alloy slipped past sensor nets, heading towards Zorvith space. Inside it sat a woman in silence, sharpening a knife that had no ceremonial purpose, only intent. The kids weren't just Earth's. They were ours. And someone just made the worst mistake in galactic history. Silence protocol activated. They struck at midnight. Not Earth time, Zorvith time. Coordinated across 6 systems. Simultaneously. The first outpost to go dark was a research satellite orbiting Ventau, a gas giant known for its mineral-rich moons. It was a quiet station, small crew, low security. Ideal for hiding illegal genetic experiments. Ideal, too, for what came next. No alarms. No distress signals. Just a final garbled message. They're not Zorvith. They're who? Then silence. When a retrieval team arrived 16 hours later, the station was cold. Literally. Every heat signature had been drained, the power cores removed, the crew frozen in place. Eyes wide open, bodies untouched, but lifeless. Not a single piece of data remained. And on the walls, in human English, burned into the metal. Return them. In a distant command chamber aboard the Zorvith battlecruiser Zekler's Pride, High Strategist Vasu slammed his fist on the console. Who authorized this? What species would even dare attack us? His aide, a lean, twitchy comms officer, looked pale. No known species, strategist. Their emissions don't match anything in the Galactic Registry. Stealth-class ships. Electronic warfare so advanced. It's like they erased our sensors in real time. Any survivors? 1. A technician. Died en route to debrief. Heart failure. His last words were, "They moved like shadows." They didn't speak. Just watched. Vasa narrowed his eyes. This isn't a rogue faction. This is a message. And I don't like messages. Back on Earth, far beneath the Rocky Mountains, Director Vega watched red dots vanish on the holographic star map, one by one. Each red dot was a Zorvith installation. A lab. A supply post. A forward base. And now all gone. They'll panic soon, she said, arms crossed. Across the room, Commander Rios, her second-in-command and former Martian war hero, nodded. Let them. The more they scramble, the more openings we have. Next wave, already launched. Silent insertion squads in the Orvik cluster. 3 more Dominion sites. Clean extractions only. Minimal mess. Vega glanced at the silent wall feed, which showed decrypted Zorvith chatter in frantic green streams. She allowed herself the briefest smile. They still think this is retaliation, she murmured. They don't understand. This isn't punishment. This is prelude. Elsewhere, in Zorvith space, a planet-wide blackout plunged the penal colony of Jarkal 5 into chaos. A facility that had stood untouched for 80 years suddenly opened. The inmates weren't released. The guards weren't killed. The humans didn't come for vengeance. They came for information. A single AI core was stolen, lifted from beneath a fortress of concrete and alloy. It contained the Dominion's most secure transport records, including one labeled Project Cradle. Human specimen status, en route to subjugation complex Theta. It wasn't enough to locate the children, but it was enough to light the path. Back on the stealth ship Seraphim, a silence operative named Rin studied the data. They moved them twice, she said. Smart, but not smart enough. Theta complex uses outdated comm buoys. I can jump their drift logs. She paused, staring at the file's final note. Specimens continue to resist psychic conditioning. Risk level elevated. She smiled. Told you, our kids don't break easy. In the Galactic Empire's inner circle, panic started to spread. Reports from Empire-aligned worlds described a phantom force erasing Zorvith installations without leaving a trace. Analysts argued over the source. Pirates? Mercenaries? A rival species? Only one theory held ground. Whispered, dismissed, then repeated again. Humans. A young Empire minister from the Ilyari sector voiced it aloud during a closed council meeting. If the humans are doing this, and we do nothing, what message does that send? His superior laughed. That message is already clear. Don't touch our offspring. The laughter died quickly when the news arrived. A Zorvith warfleet destroyed near the Veil Nebula. No survivors. 300 ships lost. Destroyed by one vessel. No name, No transponder, just a brief signature spike identified as human origin. On the edge of Zorvith space, within an asteroid field cloaked in electromagnetic fog, the Silence fleet waited. 30 ships, no insignias, no call signs, all quiet. Already, inside Seraphim, Ren turned to Rios. I cracked the Theta Complex encryption. It's a fortress moon, deep space, class 6 defenses, orbital mines, drone squadrons, psychic sentries. And the kids? Rios asked. Still alive, still resisting. One of them even managed to disable an AI assistant. They're sending in reinforcements. Rios grinned. Good. Let them stack the deck. We'll still flip the table. The crew moved like phantoms around them. No one spoke of glory. No one spoke of revenge. Only rescue. And far across the stars, within a sterile cell lined with glowing symbols, a young girl named Layla stared into a camera embedded in the wall. You hear me, she said, her voice steady. You messed up. You shouldn't have taken us. The Zorvith technicians watching from the other side looked confused. Why is she smiling? One of them whispered. Layla grinned wider. They're coming. We're coming. The moon wasn't natural. It was a weapon. Subjugation Complex Theta orbited a dying star on the edge of Zorvith territory, its outer shell mined out and replaced with alloy and automated defense rings. It had no atmosphere, no entry ports. The only way in was through Zorvith clearance or overwhelming force. The humans chose neither. Inside the fortress, 14 children sat in glowing containment pods, each tuned to dampen thought, memory, even dreams. The pods pulsed with low-frequency psychic interference, designed to break will, but it didn't work. Not on them. A technician barked orders in Zorvithian. Increase frequency. They're still resisting. Across the chamber, Layla, 9 years old and covered in bruises, cracked a grin. You should have brought more settings. She hadn't screamed once. None of them had. They'd learned early, if they cried, they were drugged. If they fought, they were studied. So they did something else. They waited. In the silent void beyond Theta's perimeter, a grain of darkness moved. The Seraphim. No engine trails. No comms. Wrapped in a distortion field that bent light and logic, it drifted just beyond sensor range. On the bridge, Commander Rios stood over a live projection of the moon. Defense arrays flickered in red, orange, violet. Thousands of automated turrets, drones, and orbital cannons in perfect coordination. It was a fortress, yes, but it was also predictable. Hit them in 12 places, Ren whispered. Then enter on the 13th. They'll never see it. He nodded. And the kids? Still alive. Layla left us a trail. She found a way to force signal bleed through the psychic dampeners. Vega's voice came over the encrypted channel from Earth. Bring them home. Make a mess. Yes, Director Rios said. He turned to the crew. No prisoners. The first strike was a lie. A decoy vessel appeared from hyperspace and charged the Theta defense ring. Blaring false signatures, overclocked plasma arrays, and encrypted Zorvith taunts. The moon's defense systems activated instantly, drawing resources toward the visible threat, which is when the Seraphim dove. It threaded through blind spots like a scalpel through flesh, micro-warping past orbital mines, phasing into the outer layer of the moon's shell and splitting open a maintenance shaft the size of a coffin. For humans entered. Black suits. No names. Eyes glowing faintly with neural sync. Behind them, the shaft sealed. They were inside. In the detention block, the lights flickered. The guards, 6 Zorvith enforcers in psychic armor, paused. One reached for his comms. Another for his weapon. The ceiling exploded. Ren dropped first, an arc blade slicing through armor like mist. The room filled with sound and smoke. Rios followed, clearing the left flank in seconds. 2 operatives behind them covered the pods, taking out power couplings and psychic emitters with pinpoint EMP rounds. Layla stood as her pod cracked open. She blinked once, then saluted. I told them you were coming. Rios knelt beside her. You okay? She grinned. They made me read Sun Tzu. Big mistake. He laughed once, then handed her a detonator. What's this? Insurance, he said. Press it when we leave. By the time Zorvith Command realized what had happened, it was already over. The intruders had disabled power to half the complex. 2 hangars exploded in secondary blasts. The inner fortress, once thought impenetrable, was gutted from the inside. Escape ships launched. The humans didn't use them. Instead, they exited the same way they entered, through shadows and math and fury. Every child accounted for. No casualties. No witnesses. From orbit, the Seraphim turned back once. Just long enough to receive the signal. A single, high-pitched chirp. Layla had pressed the button. The explosion didn't just destroy Theta. It folded it. A quantum implosion collapsed the moon into a pocket of unreality, erasing it from time and navigation. The Zorvith would never find the pieces. Back on the ship, Layla watched the event horizon curl inward. That was for stealing our Legos, she said. The crew stared at her. She shrugged. What? Priorities. Meanwhile, the Galactic Empire was forced to acknowledge what had happened. The Zorvith were screaming for help. Their moon was gone. Their experiments lost. A message burned into one of their own surviving comm satellites. Touch another human child, and there will be no stars left to hide beneath. The Empire Council chamber was silent. They're bluffing, one ambassador said. The room didn't respond. Not after the footage leaked. A fortress moon imploding in silence. No survivors. No fleet left in orbit. In the center of it all, 14 children rescued by ghosts. Back on Earth, as the ship broke atmosphere and neared the Martian recovery dome, Layla sat beside Rios, watching the red terrain spread out below. Are they going to be mad we blew up a moon? Rios grinned. No, they'll build a statue. The other kids laughed. Some cried, but none looked broken, because humans weren't built to break. And somewhere, across the stars, someone whispered the new truth of the galaxy. The galaxy remembers. They called it the Silent War. No declarations. No parades. No treaties. Just a slow unraveling of Zorvith power, fleet by fleet, system by system. Every research vessel, slave colony, or black site facility tied to human abductions vanished within weeks. The galaxy didn't know what hit them. The Zorvith Dominion begged the Galactic Empire for aid, for sanctions against Earth. But the Empire, suddenly cautious, suddenly quiet, did nothing. It had reviewed the footage, the redacted reports, the images of charred armor and severed power grids. They knew the truth. The humans had rules. They just never told anyone what happened when you broke them. High Strategist Vasu was one of the few Dominion leaders left untouched. He stayed hidden within a fortress citadel in the Arakan Belt, guarded by mercenary fleets and protected by ancient war constructs. No one could reach him, until someone did. The lights failed, the blast doors locked, and when Vasu turned toward the sound of footsteps, there she was. Director Elena Vega. No armor, no weapon in hand, just her eyes cold as starlight. Vasu rasped, backing up. You don't understand what you've done. You violated Galactic Code. Intervened without sanction. Vega said nothing. She stepped forward, calm as death. We're not part of your code, she replied. This was a scientific endeavor. You're a pre-stellar species. You don't get to dictate. She pulled a simple data chip from her pocket and set it on the table. 17 other species contributed to those experiments. Here's their names. Here's their locations. Here's your bank logs. You sold our children. Vasa lunged, screeching, but Vega moved first. A single shot. Silenced. The body hit the floor with no ceremony. She turned, already calling in coordinates. Package removed, she said. Send it. In orbit, a long black stealth drone received the signal. The fortress vaporized. Earth never issued a statement. The Galactic Empire began pretending the incident never happened. Borders shifted. Regulations were rewritten. Human territory gained 3 new sectors, quietly, without resistance. But across the stars, the message echoed. Don't provoke them. Don't touch their children. Don't think of them as prey. They weren't feared because they had power. They were feared because of what they protected, and how far they go for it. Weeks later, back on Mars, The children sat inside the Perseverance Memorial Dome, rebuilt and reinforced, a quiet sanctuary where Earth's youngest came to remember what it meant to reach for the stars. Layla stood near the window, hands in her pockets. She wasn't smiling. Not today. Commander Rios sat next to her, both staring out at the dust storms. "Do they think we're safe now?" she asked. He nodded. "Safer than before. The galaxy knows now." She looked up at him. "You didn't just come to rescue us, did you?" Rios hesitated, then shook his head. "No, we came to warn them." Layla's voice dropped. "Warn them about what?" "That we're done asking nicely." Later, in the subterranean halls of the Silence Command Center, Director Vega stood before a new generation of operatives, young, diverse, fierce. Some barely out of training. Others ghosts from forgotten wars. She didn't give them a speech. She gave them a promise. Earth doesn't start wars. We finish them. You all know why you're here. The galaxy wants to forget what happened. That's fine. Let them forget. She paused. We won't. The wall behind her shimmered, revealing 14 names etched in light. The children. The reason they'd acted. The reason they still would. Let this remind you. We don't do this for revenge. We do it so no child, human or otherwise, gets taken again without consequence. And out there, somewhere in deep space, a transmission looped in the ruins of what was once subjugation complex theta. It was audio only. Simple. Undeniable. Layla's voice, clear and young and unbroken. "If you hurt us, we won't scream. We'll wait. We'll remember. And then we'll come for you." No signature. No trace. But everyone in the galaxy knew where it came from and who it was meant for. Epilogue. The Galactic Empire would go on. The Zorvath Dominion would not. The humans returned to their worlds. Built more ships. More outposts. More quiet warnings in the void. They didn't want conquest. They didn't want control. They wanted peace. But now, the stars whispered one truth over and over. You captured human kids. Congratulations. You just signed your death warrant.